Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development Program, and in particular the AWD 1111 .NET Framework with Web Databases class, I've been creating a series of video presentations based on the book we'll be using for that class in the fall 2019 semester. The book, as you can see on the screen, is Pro ASP.NET MVC 5. An A-Press text by Mr. Adam Freeman. I am in Chapter 7 where we're building our sports score project, and I want to remind you one more time that right, wrong, good, bad, or indifferent, I've decided not to add the ninject and the mock stuff in here. I did add the two that are not highlighted, the ASP.NET MVC. When we came to adding the references for the projects, I could not add this one. I'm hoping that I'll be able to later. All right, so I skipped the setting up the DI container, and that brought me to actually running the app. I did get the 404, and the reason I got that error is because the system was looking for some kind of an HTML or a CS HTML file, an index file, which it didn't find. So I'm up to starting the domain model. All MVC framework projects start with a domain model because everything in an MVC framework application revolves around the domain model. Since this is an e-commerce application, the most obvious domain entry we'll need is a product. Create a new folder called Entities inside of our domain project, and then a new file called product.cs inside of it. All right. So come to our domain, right mouse click on that, add new folder, entities, whoops. All right, right mouse click on that folder, add new item, going down, class is the one that's chosen, and we want this to be product. .cs. So now in our domain we've got an entities folder, and inside of that we've got a product.cs file. There we are. You are already familiar with the definition of the product class, as I'm going to use the one we used for earlier chapters. So again, every product will have an ID, a name, a description, a price, and a category. The ID, by default, we always want those to be integers, and that'll be our primary key, basically our unique record identifier. And the price will be a decimal. Everything else, the name, description, and category, will all be strings. So let's copy that, bring that into our product class, paste. Don't know how I got that, but I did. So let's do a file save all from where we are right now. Okay. I am following the technique of defining my own domain model in a separate Visual Studio project, which means that the class must be marked as public. Okay. You do not need to follow this convention, but I find that it helps keep the model separate from the controllers, which is useful in large and complex projects. Creating an abstract repository. Again, we're on the bottom of page 161. The author says here, I need some way of getting product entities from a database. As explained in Chapter 3, the model includes the persistence logic for storing and retrieving data from the persistent data store. But even within the model, I want to keep a degree of separation between the data model entities and the storage and retrieval logic, which I achieve using what's called the repository pattern. I will not worry about how I'm going to implement data persistence right now, but I will start the process of defining an interface for it. Create a top-level folder inside of Sports Store called Abstract. And within that new folder, create a new interface called iProducts Repository. So hold on. So within our domain, right mouse click, add new folder. That new folder is called abstract. Within that abstract, add a new item. All right. We're supposed to add new item and select the interface template. I didn't even know there was one, but I'm going to try it, try to find it. This is not good news because, let's see, we can maybe find it someplace else. Code, there's interface. Oops, we don't want that. We want this to be called iProduct Repository. There it is. Add, and there it is. Okay? We're going to totally replace what's in there with what is shown here on page 162. Okay? Now again, remember, and I'm not doing this to confuse anyone, but next we're going to make a mock repository. No, we're not. I removed all that mock stuff. So the interface, as it says here, is going to use an IEnumerable to allow the caller to obtain a sequence of product objects without saying how or where the data is stored or retrieved. A class that depends on this interface can obtain product objects without needing to know anything about them. This is, as it says, the essence of the repository pattern. It's just a holder, for lack of better words. All right, so I'm going to leave out the making a mock repository. All right, and I'm going to go right down on page 163 to displaying a list of products. The author says, I could spend the rest of this chapter building out the domain model in the repository and not touch the UI project at all. I think you would find it boring, so I'm going to switch tracks and start using the MVC framework. I will add model and repository features as they are needed. In this section, we're going to create a controller and an action method that can display details of the products in the repository. For the moment, this will be only for the data in the mock repository. Well, we didn't create a mock repository, which is not good. So I think what we will do, what I will do is kind of go back to the last chapter and where we built this stuff without the mock stuff, or in an earlier chapter, I will copy that in, but change the products so that it looks like this. All right? If you don't understand what I mean, I really and truly think you will in just a couple minutes. So I am on page 163 under the displaying a list of products. All right. But before I add the controller, I want to fix this up a little bit and bring that stuff in so I'll have it available to me for me. All right. I'm kind of doing in here what most developers would refer to as a hack. Maybe I'll have to end up adding the mock stuff. I don't really know. All right. And if I do, then I do. But I really don't want the dependency injection, because I had nothing but problems with that. All right. So before I go and add the controller, let's go back. So let's see. Back to the beginning of the book. That's pretty much what I'm looking for here. Is something that looks like this. So I'm going to copy that. Just for now, I'm just going to throw it inside of here. Okay. All right, and I want to change these products and use the ones that are shown in the text here. So let me go back to page 163. Again, I've said this before, you'll hear me say it throughout, that if I screw this up, if this doesn't work, then what I'll probably end up doing is just keep this out there so you can see it, you can see where and how I screwed up, and then I'll have to go back and redo it. Do I want to do that? Heck no. But I have plenty of other stuff I'd rather be doing, but I want to get this right. So let me grab these products, copy them to the clipboard, and I'm going to change the products we have to these. Everything that's here, tab it over one more time, move this way over to the end like that. Okay, that's looking pretty good. All right. I'm going to actually end up, I believe, at least, probably adding that into my controller, which is, again, goes against everything I'm supposed to be doing, but we'll worry about it a little bit later. So, under the displaying a list of products, the author says I'm going to create a controller and an action method that can display details of the products in the repository. For the moment, this will only be the data in the mock repository, but I will sort that out later. No, ours will not be in the mock repository. All right, ours will be in our controller. I will also set up an initial routing configuration so that MVC knows how to map requests. All right, so we want to right mouse click on the controllers folder, and we want to create a product controller, an empty product controller. So, right mouse click, add. I want to go to my controller folder, right mouse click, add controller. I want it to be empty, add. I want it to be called product, and it should be singular. I like to always check these things. It's empty, product controller. Click the add button, and Visual Studio will create the product, which you should edit to look like this. So I'm looking at this right now, and I'm going to have nothing but problems with it. I can already tell. I'm going to try this, but my guess is I'm going to start running into problems right away. All right. Okay. I think I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to go back again. I don't know about the Ninject stuff, but I think what I'm going to do is, in fact, where are we? 15 minutes. All right. In the next lecture, what you're going to see is you're going to see me go back up. I'm going to start it right now. I'm going to install the mock stuff. I don't know if that's the right version, so let me copy this to the clipboard. Back before we do that, let's look and see what versions